Good morning once again. Today we want to talk about phishing attack. In cybersecurity, there's one major topic called phishing, and that is what we want to address today. Now, when we say phishing, what comes to mind? What can you tell us about phishing? What is phishing? So we'll be talking about phishing attack, deceptive emails, spoofing, pharming, phishing, smishing, whaling, and of course fake websites are used to implement these phishing attacks. Now, what is phishing? Phishing is a cyber attack. We learned that there are several types of cyber attacks. One type of attack is malware attack. We also have an attack called phishing attack. So phishing is a cyber attack that is designed to trick a human victim into revealing sensitive information to the attacker or to install a malicious software. So when phishing is implemented, the goal is to get the victim to reveal sensitive information or to get the victim to do other things such as installing a dangerous software into their system. It occurs when an attacker masquerading as a trusted entity. So the reason why we need to look at phishing is that it appears in a certain way. Usually, the attacker appears or disguises themselves as a trusted entity and dupes the victim into opening a deceptive email, instant message, or text message, believing that the message is something they want or need. The recipient is then tricked into clicking a malicious link, which will lead to a fake copy of a trusted website. So if you look over here, you will see that phishing has a lot to do with disguising the attacker, disguising themselves as a trusted entity. They disguise themselves, number one. Number two, they dupe the victim into opening a deceptive email, instant message, or text message. So usually they will trick victims into opening a message. They appear as a trusted entity, trick victims into opening a message, and number three, they trick victims into clicking on a link. Usually there is a link involved. So the message they send to you, they actually want you to click on something, because as soon as you click, you get into where they want to put you. They send these messages to hundreds of thousands of people a day, hoping that a percentage of them will fall prey to their attacks. Now, number four, they will lead you to a fake copy of a trusted website. So there's usually a website involved. Not 100% of the time, but 98% there is a website involved. And this website is a fake copy of a trusted website. When we say a fake copy, what we mean is that they will mimic the website and it will be hard for you to tell the difference, which will then be used to receive sensitive information such as login credentials and credit card numbers, or to deploy a malicious attack such as ransomware. We are talking about phishing. Let's try and access a bank's website. Which bank would you want us to access their website? Now, this is a website of a serious bank. APSA. This bank is a bank that runs in several countries, and a lot of transactions take place on this bank. The website they have, this website was designed by a team of designers and developers. The bank owners hired developers and designers to build this site. And most cyber criminals are experts in web design. So what we are seeing, if you are a good web designer, you can design the same thing that a customer who is not tech savvy will not see a thing. Will never know that this is not the correct site. Let's go to let's click here and go to, what do you see? Internet banking. So when I click on internet banking, what do you see here? The login page of the internet banking. Now, the only thing keeping you behind access to this bank are just these two: username and password, the login credentials. If you have it, you are in the bank. You can transfer money. You can move money to phone. You can move money to a different bank. You can make payment. The only thing stopping you is what? Username and password. That's all. The only thing stopping you from getting access to serious money, depending on the customer you are attacking. So with phishing, the attack is not towards the bank. No. The attack is directed at customers who don't know much. So if you can trick a customer into giving you their username and password, that's all you need to get 10,000 CDs this morning or this afternoon. Because there are a lot of customers who have 50,000 CDs, 100,000 in their accounts. This is phishing. Now, most of the time, the phishing attack is designed to bring the customer not to the home page of the site, but to the login page. So what you are seeing here, this is where the attacker wants to bring you. So he needs to use some form of social engineering to get you to come. What can you tell someone into luring the person to come in here? You just bring the person here. Because if you're able to bring the person here, your chances of getting the details are high. Because over here, they'll be more confused because they've been logging into their account every single day. And today, they are seeing the same interface. They cannot tell the difference. because this is just a design. Sometimes, you see, sometimes you don't even have to design the site, you just need to save the site, copy it. We have website saving softwares, or you can just save and make sure the resource files are all intact. The page will be the same after you save it. So you just upload the same thing onto your platform and lead people to that link. Yes. This is what we are talking about as phishing. So this is what attackers do. Now, my question is, what can you invent to tell somebody to come here right now, just to come here? Now, when someone gets here, do you know what they will do? When someone gets here onto this page, what would they do? Their first action is to log in. So once you give them an information to tell them to log in, when they come, they themselves will log in. And this particular login button is connected to a database. Immediately you click here. By using a simple PHP code, the information that is typed here, once you click here, it will save it in a database, the database of the attacker. So if the attacker sends 1,000 people here, in a minute he will see the table of the database filling up with different logins. So he will receive the username password in a table, a database table. All you have to do is to click here. Once you click here, you are dead. This button, you are seeing login, but if it's a phishing site, it's not logging you in. It is saving these details in someone's database. So the person will wake up in the morning and will have thousands of passwords of all the people he has successfully duped. All he will do is to check your account. You don't have money, get away. You your money is not enough. Wow, this person has money. So this is a person will attack. When they check your account and it's only 10 cedis, they don't come again. Well, that's just by the way. So once the victim is brought onto this page, they will log in. And when they click on the login, the attacker has achieved everything he set out to do. Immediately they click on this button, the attacker is done. So what he will do next is to either bring a pop-up and tell the person that, oh, the problem has been fixed, or there was a mistake, login again. And the second time that he will say login again, he will redirect you to the correct one. You see, with the fake one, when you click login, he'll give you error. They tell you to log in again. He has gotten his information. When you are logging in the second time, the page will change to the correct one. So when you log in, you will log in and you'll still see your website, your account, everything. And whatever he sent you to do, you do it and it won't affect him. Later, he will come in and steal. So my question is, what can you tell someone to come here? We'll be looking at what they use. So from what we read, usually they use emails, WhatsApp messages, Facebook messages, text messages. So if you send someone an email, what can you tell the person? No, the thing is that you want the person to come to this bank's page because this is your target. This is your landing page. You want them to come here and log in, trying to check something. The bank's link. What do you mean by the bank link? Definitely, it is the link that you add to the message, but I'm talking about the message. And the link will not be the bank's link, because the bank's link will lead them to the bank site. Phishing is not about leading them to the bank site, but leading them to a fake site that looks exactly like the bank site. So I just want an example of a message that can be given to customers for them to hurry up and come and log in. Now, maybe you are not getting me. They are not supposed to log in into the correct bank. That's not what we are talking about. They are supposed to log into the fake one. And the fake one, because it is not real, the only way of leading the person is through a link. All right. Now, what is spoofing? What is spoofing? Spoofing is an act of disguising a communication from an unknown source as being from a known trusted source. This is called spoofing. So the social engineering you'll be doing is spoofing. It's an act of disguising a communication from an unknown source. They don't know you, but you disguise the message as being from a known trusted source. Spoofing can apply to emails, phone calls, and websites, or can be more technical, such as a computer spoofing an IP address, address resolution protocol ARP, or a DNS server. Spoofing on a DNS server is very dangerous, and that is called pharming. Spoofing with a DNS server or on a DNS server is a serious attack, and it's called pharming. So what is pharming? Pharming is a portmanteau. Have you heard this word portmanteau before? Portmanteau, number one, is a light traveling bag. That's what I know as portmanteau. Number two, a word blending the sound and combining the meanings of two other. For example, motel or branch. Motel is like some form of mobile hotel, and branch is some form of breakfast and lunch put together called branch. So when we say pharming, it is a portmanteau of the words phishing and pharming. The pharming, you know. And it's a type of phishing in which cyber criminals redirect internet users trying to reach a specific website to a different fake site. This pharming is more dangerous than tricking people to click on a link. This pharming is actually about hacking into the website's real domain name, real address, and redirecting the site from the back end of the site to a different site. This is more serious. With pharming, their chances of detecting is very low, because they will actually go to the real site, just that the site has been hacked and redirected. So they will actually type in the real site, but they will still get to the fake site. That's called pharming. These spoof sites aim to capture a victim's personal identification information, PII, and login credentials such as passwords, social security numbers, account numbers, and so on, or else they attempt to install pharming malware on their computer. Farmers often target websites in the financial sector, including banks, online payment platforms, e-commerce sites, usually with identity theft as their ultimate objective. So there's something called farming. Fishing and farming. This farming is able to harvest a lot of victims. That is why it is called farming. It is a fishing that can harvest a whole lot of victims because it goes into the correct address and redirect it from the back end. Vision. Vision is also a portmanteau. It's a portmanteau of the words voice and phishing. Sometimes it is called voice phishing, or it stands for voice phishing. So vision stands for voice phishing. It is a cyber crime that uses the phone to steal personal confidential information from victims. So it uses the phone, usually phone calls. Is it possible for someone to make a phone call to trick someone? Give me an example. Let's assume there's a secretary in an office. The secretary is always receiving calls. What can someone call or say to such a secretary into allowing them or into giving them sensitive information? I see. All right, so there's something called vision, and we said vision stands for what? Voice phishing. That's good. Often, cyber criminals use savvy social engineering tactics to convince victims to act, giving up private information and access to bank accounts. Vision relies heavily on convincing the victims that they are doing the right thing by responding to the caller. Often, the caller will pretend to be calling from the government, tax department, police, or the victim's bank. Using threats and convincing language, cyber criminals make victims feel as though they have no other option than to provide the information being asked of them. Some cyber criminals use strong and forceful language, and others suggest they are helping the victim to avoid criminal charges. The second and common tactic is to leave threatening voicemail that tell the recipient to call back immediately or they risk being arrested, having bank accounts shut down, or worse. So they can threaten you that if you don't call, your bank account will be shut down. So when someone sends a message that log in and update your or confirm your name, if you don't do that within the next 3 hours, your bank account will be shut down. The bank will reject you from being a customer. Nobody will want to be taken out like that. So they'll tell the person, click here to update or confirm or verify your information. You can tell them to verify their phone number or something. That's called vision. What is smishing? After looking at vision, what do you think smishing is? Okay, smishing is a phishing attack carried out over mobile text messaging, also known as SMS phishing. That's called smishing. As a variant of phishing, victims are deceived into giving sensitive information to a disguised attacker. SMS phishing can be assisted by malware or fraud websites. It occurs on many mobile text messaging platforms, including non-SMS channels like database mobile messaging apps. Smishing. They'll smish you. There's another one called whaling. A whaling attack or whaling phishing or a whaling phishing attack is a specific type of phishing attack that targets high-profile employees. With this whaling, they don't just attack or target anyone. They attack high-profile people. People who have access to the company's money. People who have keys to sensitive information, such as the CEO or the chief finance officer. In order to steal sensitive information from a company, in many whaling attacks, the attacker's goal is to manipulate the victim into authorizing high-volume wire transfer to the attacker. Wow. These are the people who control the bank's money. They have access to the bank's money or the company's money. They are the people who sign the checks and people who authorize payments. So sometimes a phishing attack is directed specifically at high-profile individuals in a company. That is called whaling. All right. Let's briefly talk about some of the tricks used in phishing and one or two ways to prevent phishing, and we'll end our class for today. What are the tricks used in phishing? Number one, mimicking the design of trusted websites. So they will redesign the sites. They also do what is called typo squatting. Typo squatting. This refers to a slight change in the URL of the trusted website. So when you look here, one thing a cyber criminal can never do is to get the exact domain name, unless there is an issue of pharming. And in the case of pharming, the domain name has been hacked. That is very rare, but it can occur. And so most of the time, the only difference, or what can help you to detect phishing, is by checking the URL or the address of the website, mainly the domain name. In pharming attacks, 99.9% of the time, the domain name is slightly different. That's why they call it typo squatting. They will type the domain name in a way that you cannot see. Let me copy this domain name. online.absa.com. I want to paste the domain name here, and I'll ask you to give me a version of this name that will be hard to detect. But you are applying typo squatting. That means you are changing something or adding something, because it is almost impossible, even though it happens in pharming, for attackers to have the same domain name. So usually the domain name is different, and you have to be very smart. People's minds do not go there at all. When it comes to magic or illusion or deception, it's all about moving your attention to a different place and being attacked in a place that you are not looking. And so they will use a different link, and because of that, you will not know that it's not them. Okay, actually, if they change this online, it doesn't change anything. So this is the main domain name, absa.com.gh. What can you create that will look similar to this that it will be hard to detect? The same link or the same domain name. Mention how it should be that it will be hard to detect, especially by customers who are not into IT or who do not know much about technology. A bit what? So like this. So something like this, their minds will not go there. Even if they look at it, they may not see it. So they do slight changes. Slight changes. Yo, give me one. But because it's .gh, you see, you have to have knowledge in these things. .gh is limited to Ghana, and to change anything there, it is either it has to be .com.gh or .net.gh or something.gh or just .gh. So if someone registers absa.com.gh, it is different, and this is possible to register, but usually it happens in the ID over here, not the extension. Sometimes it happens in the extension too, because a different extension is different from the original. If your website is, let's say, google.com, google.net is not your site unless you decide to buy that one as well. Google.co is not your site unless you decide to buy that one as well. So they'll just make a change. So this is what we call typo what? All right. So they are good in designing the site, and they are good in changing the link. Sometimes there'll be one S, but they'll use double S, and you will not see. Now, how do you prevent phishing attacks? Number one, you need to check the URL. This will be done by people who have some education in phishing. When you check the URL, that is where you confirm whether this is a URL of the original site. If you are smart, you will see that one small thing can be changed. Something that is subtle, you will not see. But if you know that's what they are trying to do, you will inspect well. If you don't have any knowledge of phishing, you will not know, because the page looks the same. Everything looks the same. The second one we'll talk about, I think I didn't bring it here. It says that type in, or never click on the link in an email, but type in the address into the browser yourself. So if you are typing the address into the browser yourself, you will definitely go to the correct site. But when you click on the link in the mail, you are doomed. So these are two ways we'll talk about. Next time, we will continue with our studies. I want to thank you all for joining me. This has been an interesting class. In cybersecurity, we learn about attacks. We learn about how to prevent attacks. It's mostly focused on preventing attacks or fighting attackers. But you need to get a lot of knowledge to be able to do that. So next time we'll move on to something else, and we may add to what we have studied today to give you the best understanding as possible. So I want to thank you once again. I will see you later. Bye.